Ever take a photograph that's too dark or too bright? It's not your fault, it's your camera's meter that needs to be blamed. If you don't master metering or exposure, your photographs are going to suffer all the time. Today, I will break down essential metering and exposure tips that will change the way you photograph. Let's get into metering and exposure so you can come back with the photographs you really want. Alright guys, let's talk about metering modes. But actually, do I really want to get into metering modes? There are so many tutorials out there about metering modes. What I want to get into is what can you get out of each metering mode? What is the good point? Your camera's job is to take everything and make it medium gray in all the modes except for manual, but in manual it'll tell you how much above and how much under. So let's go with evaluative metering mode first. What does evaluative metering mode do? It evaluates within your frame what is dark, what is light, brings it up, brings it down. If you have it in the automatic aperture shutter speed modes of your camera, then it will adjust that for you and it will say, okay, bang, there you go. Great. And it will give you a reading, and then everything there is not overexposed and not underexposed. It's giving you something general. So there is a very good way you can take advantage of that if you are an amazing retoucher. Because I always say a good photograph is that directs your audience's eye to the place you want it to see. Now, in the evaluative metering mode, it won't do that. Why? Because it's not making anything darker or lighter, right? It's making everything kind of bringing it in the middle. If you're a good retoucher, this mode is excellent, because you can dodge and burn the old school way, or you can dodge and burn in the computer and get that emotion, that direction of the audience. So evaluative meter, what is it good for? It's good for getting a general photograph, a general good exposure, and not making a huge mistake. So now, what is a partial metering mode? A partial metering mode is basically, it measures a part and it says, okay, this is what it is compared to the 18% gray. It's up or it's down, and then you decide what that is. If your sides are a little bit blown out, it's not going to measure that. It's only going to measure what it's seeing in partial, in the middle. It's basically spot meter kind of expanded, okay? So that is partial metering mode. All right, so let's get into center weighted metering mode. It is what it says, right? It says center weighted, meaning it's only giving attention to the middle of your frame. What is it good for? If you're shooting an animal and the animal is exactly in the middle, you measure it, it will evaluate the middle, and that's the end of that. That is what it's good for. It will not look at anything else. And it also has a size to it, and that size is displayed on your camera. The good thing about it is it kind of focuses on your subject and forgets about everything else. Now, spot metering. I am partial towards spot metering, of course I am, because that's all I use. It lets you tell a story. So what I do is I measure different parts of the frame. So basically what I'm doing is I'm dodging and burning in the camera. So when I measure the back and I measure the front and I measure the sides and then I measure my subject, I know what I'm doing to the other parts of my frame to guide my audience's eye directly to my subject. That's why I love spot metering. And you can move the spot based on wherever you're composing, and that is what I love about spot metering. Spot metering can also be very, very dangerous. The danger is if you're shooting a zebra and you're spot metering the white, or you're spot metering the black, you spot meter the black becomes gray, right? If you listen to the camera. Or you spot meter the white, and if you listen to the camera, the white becomes gray. Bottom line, spot metering is good if you are in control, meaning if you tell the camera, okay, this is what you're telling me, but this is what I don't want to do. I'm going to do this, this, and this. And the only way you can do that is by knowing where your subject sits on the grayscale. At the end of this video, I am going to tell you what do I expose for, to the brights or to the darks, and why I do it, and how I have landed up with photographs that have always been exposed correctly due to this. Alright guys, so let's talk about exposure compensation. There is a dial that you can tell your camera basically, hey, everything I do, take it up by 1/3 of a stop, or everything I do, take it down by 1/3 or half. That is very simply put exposure compensation. How do you decide how much to go up and how much to go down? You decide that before you get on location at home or in your studio when you're doing your research, and you say, my subject is going to be white. What do I have to do for it to be white? I have to open up 1.5 stop. Exposure compensation, 1.5 stops. So now when you are on location, you're going to measure your subject and the camera is going to say XYZ, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to take it back to 0. Why 0? Because you know that your camera is now set to expose 1.5 stops more. That is the way you should use exposure compensation. I never do it because 100% of my photographs are always done in manual. I have this ongoing argument with my camera because the camera is telling me to do something and I'm telling the camera, no, I'm the photographer, I'm going to do something else. So yeah, I don't use exposure compensation, but that is a good way to use exposure compensation because you know upfront what you want to do with your subject. If it's dark and the camera is making gray, you're going to pull it down. If it's white and the camera is going to make it gray, you're going to pull it up. And that you determine prior to. Do the exposure compensation stop or stop and a half or whatever you want ahead of the game, and then let it go to 0 and you're done. Let's talk about your histogram. A very, very important tool to understand. A lot of people say push it all the way to the right, but let me tell you something. If you're going to push it all the way to the right, if it's a darker environment, okay, I understand it. But if it's not and it's normal, pushing it all the way to the right means what? Yes, you push it all the way to the right and you can bring it down in post. I'm not against that. But why? You don't know what you want your image to be? If you don't know what your image to look like, then sure, take it all the way to the right. Not a problem. But if you do know what you want your image to look like and you are exposing in normal conditions, not too dark or not too bright, then why do you have to push it to the right? You're going to argue and say to me, grain, and doesn't that make the character? Unless I'm shooting in a dark environment, I don't ever push it to the right. And I don't care about grain. I really don't, because I think my images, that is what the character is. Why would I change that? If you have your histogram all the way to the left and it's clipping, you know you're not going to get any details, or everything is bunched up to the right, you'll never be able to recover that. Stay in the middle. That is what histogram is all about. I know in the past so many years, everybody says, push it to the right, push it to the right, push it to the right. I'm here to say to you, push it to the right if you are in a darker environment. And you can go to my website and take a look at all my images. I don't push things to the right. I know what I want my image to look like. Why would I push it over there? I live with the histogram. It's a tool that is an absolute must. I have it in my viewfinder all the time. I think you guys should too. So I said to you guys that I am going to tell you what I expose for. I always expose for the highlights. If I blow out the highlights, I will never ever recover. If I underexpose, I can recover in Photoshop. I think most of the photographers always do that. We always expose for the highlights so we don't blow out anything. White is very difficult to recover. Blacks, I mean, if it gets dark, yes, you can try and push it up and get some details back into it. Alright guys, so metering modes are so important. So is the exposure compensation, and so is the histogram. Master these three and you will always come back with an amazing exposed photograph. Now, be selective of your metering modes because that determines what the camera is seeing. It's not about what you see, it's about what the camera is seeing and what the camera is going to reproduce. So if you choose the wrong metering mode, you will not be able to recover your images. The emotions will be there, everything will be there, but if it is overexposed, you're gone. As far as I'm concerned, I only do spot metering. If you want to tell a story, there's nothing better than spot metering because you can tell a story within your frame and then come back and enhance that with Photoshop with the dodge and burn. I hope this video was helpful to you guys. I will see you in the next one. Talk to you soon.